Hi, this is Simi Core, joined by the lovely and beautiful Joy Taylor. Joy, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking your time out. Now, let me ask you, is there anything major or upcoming that we can look out for you?
No, not at the moment. Just doing the show and the Saturday radio show. It's NFL season is over, so we're just gearing up for the second half of the NBA season. And yeah, we do most of our heavy work in the business during the NFL season. So that's when the heavy load for our business is. So I was doing play-by-play with Amazon during the season, but the season's over. So it's just the Herd Saturday show and the Joy Taylor Foundation right now.
Still keeping very busy though. So let me ask you, speaking of the real world and keeping busy, with everything going on with Russia and Ukraine right now, we heard, how do you keep going and making sure the show keeps going on, although there's so many world issues going on around you?
I think you have to compartmentalize a little bit. We do a very specific show in that it is a very heavy sports show. We tend to get into the cultural topics and broader topics when they spill over into sports at the highest level. So people come to us to talk about sports, to hear our opinions about sports. Obviously, the real world affects athletics and professional sports and amateur sports. So there are times when we are going to have those conversations on the show because that's where we've landed as a society. But right now, obviously tensions are very high around the world and there's a lot going on, but our show, our content for our show is very specific. So we are able to, keep it in that direction. Hopefully it won't get to the point where we're having those conversations on our show because it's escalated to that point.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's a scary world out there. But let me ask you, how did everything start for you? When did you know that, this is the path I want to take? So, tell me all about it.
Well, I grew up playing sports. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is a very big sports town. And I grew up playing basketball and soccer and volleyball and running track. So I was always an athlete and loved competing, loved watching sports. I was a big Michael Jordan fan, Junior Seau fan, Dan Marino fan. Obviously, if you grew up in Pittsburgh, you're a Steelers fan. And I grew up around a lot of strong women who were also big sports fans because Pittsburgh is just a big sports city. So that's really how I got involved in sports from a young age. And then, obviously I had the privilege of watching my brother play at every level. And I was a college athlete myself. So sports has always been a big part of my life. And I've always wanted to be in the, broadcasting business. I have that, story of being a kid and like doing the newscasts with the hairbrush and all of that. So had a pretty traditional path as far as, how I got into sports, but I really wanted to be in the opinion side of sports. And to me, radio was the best way to enter into that. Howard Stern is a big idol of mine. And, he was really able to revolutionize the industry by, one, being himself at the highest level unapologetically, but also transforming how we consume media, how we consume topics. And the news business was heading in that direction. Our business, the sports business, was heading in that direction, entertainment in the direction of, we already know what the story is. Now we want to hear what people think about it. So I loved radio and the ability to create a theater of the mind, create and paint a picture while also having a natural long form format and platform to be able to give your opinion. So I started in the radio business in Miami as a intern, and then eventually as a part-time producer, and then executive producer, and then was able to transition into on air and freelance doing sideline reporting, covering youth sports, writing, covering high school sports, doing fantasy football, everything that you can imagine, but all with the base of radio and the goal of being in the opinion space.
And speaking of having a mentor or looking up to someone, as a woman in sport, was there any woman you looked up to? Because I know I look up to you because you are already up there where I'm trying to get. And watching you, I'm like, okay, you know what? Joy's already there. I'm gonna make it there. So was there any woman that you looked up to, or growing up in sports? Because we're around the same age, and the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of women in sports. Now we're starting to see a little bit more. So was there anyone that stood out to you at that point?
Yeah, I mean, Robin Roberts obviously was a big idol of mine, and she's still in the game and killing it at the highest level. I looked up to Jamel Hill. I mean, she's to this day the only woman who's hosted an opinion show on any of the major networks, to my knowledge, a purely opinion show that was hers. And of course, being a Black woman, she was really when I saw her and felt like, okay, I can actually do this. Like, it's actually something that happens. So those two were big idols of mine. Leslie Visser reached out to me pretty early in my career to give me some mentorship and advice. But yeah, I mean, and obviously Oprah, who isn't in the sports side of things, but is the biggest name in media and still is today. And what she was able to do, not only just with her show, but her brands, and then expanding into her own network and multi-platform superstar in the business, admires and what she's been able to do with her career.
And going off of that, is there any advice that you would give to younger girls who are looking up to you and watching your show? I know when I'm at the gym, the herd is on, and all the girls usually are on the Stairmaster looking up and watching the show. Would there be any advice that you would give to them who want to get into the sports broadcasting career or go into that path?
Well, there's a couple pieces of advice. One, I would very much narrow down what it is that you want to do. And maybe what you want to do doesn't even exist yet, but you have to have a goal. Otherwise, it's very difficult to become successful in any business, but specifically in this business, because there's so many different jobs you can take. There's so many different directions, and they're still kind of really confused. Do they want to do play-by-play? Do they want to do on air? Do they want to be a producer? Do they want to be an executive? Do they want to do social? And the more time that you spend not committing to something, because it can be very scary to say, this is what I want to do and commit to it. You're getting experience, but you're not necessarily advancing your career. So there's a difference between activity and achievement, famous John Wooden quote. So it's important to stay busy and to stay active, but being consistent at what's going to get you to what your goal is, and knowing what your goal is very, very important. I always knew I wanted to do opinion. Everyone who I worked with from the very infancy of my career knew what I wanted to do. So when the time came to give me an opportunity, or the time came to recommend me for a job, or the time came that a position opened, they knew this would be good for Joy, because this is what I know she wants to do. This is what she's working for. This is what she's getting experience for. And it also will help you make decisions as far as what internships you're going to take, who you reach out toward to mentor you, what opportunities you take when you are in the building. All of that's very important. It's very difficult to guide someone who is non-committal to what they want to do. And you hear it all the time, like, oh, like I just want to be successful. Like, successful at what? Like, what do you want to do? And I know it's very scary, and it took me a long time to really narrow down and commit fully to my dream, because it's very scary to say, this is what I'm going to be. It can kind of feel like you're boxing yourself in, but what you're really doing is committing to yourself. And consistency is also very important in that. Once you decide what you want to do, to be consistent in the space of building yourself, of taking new opportunities, of sharpening your skills, working on the things that are going to help you be better at whatever it is that you want to do. And also, I would say to really be yourself. It's very easy to emulate other people. It's very easy to look up to other people and say, oh, they do that. Maybe I should do it this way. But what's really going to make you stand out, what's really going to get you opportunities, is being unique and bringing a different voice and a different perspective and your own experiences and your own insight and your own point of view to the business, because there's room for everyone and every voice and every different type of person. But if you're trying to be like someone else, not necessarily in their career path or their job or what they've accomplished, but in their style or how they look or how they speak, then you're really just kind of being a lesser version of someone that's already successful at being that, that's great at being that. So be yourself. And that's also very scary. And that takes a lot of time and reps. And I wasn't always, this comfortable in my own skin. And it's a lifelong process, I think, to get to that point. But to really lean into who you are and what you bring to the table that's unique, I think is what's going to separate you from everyone else.
No, I absolutely agree. I think having a conversation with you before, I know you said it took you about 8 to 9 years to get to this point where you're at. So I always try to, I don't have a lot of followers, but I'm, to the girls that I get to talk to here and there, they do say, oh, well, I want to get to that point. Well, I'm like, well, okay, you got to add your own spice. As you just said, you got to add your own charm to it. You can try copying being who you are or who you follow, this and that, but I love that. And was there a motto or a quote that you stick by that every day when you feel like, you know what, I'm getting exhausted from this? Is there a quote that just keeps you going?
I don't know that it's a quote in so much it's that, it's sort of like a sports mentality, right? Like the work that you do when no one's watching is what's going to put you ahead of everyone else. So yes, when you're on air, you're working, but there's a lot that you do before that and in between that can separate you from everyone else. And, is a competitive business, and not in the way that, if you don't read that extra article, you're not going to be as good as the next person, you're going to get fired. But you are what you habitually do. And that's with anything in life. If you're trying to get in shape, if you habitually work out and drink water and eat good, you're eventually going to get in shape. That's just how it works. If you want to, become more intellectual, if you read more books and listen to more presentations and study, you're going to learn more. Like, it's just whatever it is you do habitually, you will become. And so if you lean into what you do and really love what you do, that becomes easier. But obviously life happens and there's other things going on, and there's a whole world of problems that can distract you and wear you down. So I think for me, when I get tired, one, I take a break. Like if I'm really just exhausted, I just, take some things off my plate and stop feeling bad about saying no to things. And, I need to push this to next week or whatever, because you need to be whole in order to be your best self as much as is within your control. And then also just, there's plenty of people who don't think that you should be here. And there's plenty of people who would love to see it all fall apart. And there's plenty of people who don't want to give you that next opportunity. So you have to make them. And I did many times have to do that. And being prepared and being, relentless in the pursuit of what you want will put you in the positions for that to happen. I say it all the time on the show when we're talking about organizations having advantages over other organizations, or being in the right position to get the superstar, or win the game because they had some guy that they picked up or some woman that they added to their roster. Luck favors the prepared. If you are just sitting around waiting for someone to come discover you, especially in today's world, I mean, good luck with that. People are hustling. People are putting themselves out there. People are working really hard at whatever it is that they do. Nothing's handed to you. And things are easier for others than they are going to be for you if you're a woman or you're a woman of color. So just, that's the world that we live in. And you can't, you have to take care of yourself first, but also when you start feeling like, it's not enough, and you have that motivation and you have that fire, remember that there are lots of people who don't think you belong there. And for me, I didn't always have that mentality in my career, but as I've, moved up in my career and in my roles, I realize now more than ever how much responsibility you have as a woman to not just take pride in what you do, but realize that there's other people that you're representing. And that's important. And everybody doesn't have that responsibility that you work with, and they're not going to take it as seriously as you do, but you have to, remain firm in that space.
And you just mentioned taking a break. Sometimes you got to step away and take a break. What's your go-to breaking point, like where you're just like, okay, I just gotta go either to a yoga class, I gotta go to a spin class, maybe I'm gonna go to the beach and just hang out, maybe read a book. What is the way you kind of go, okay, I need to calm myself down, I need a break?
Honestly, I just nap. I'm a huge napper. I just like shut it all the way down. Even if it's like, okay, I just got home. I've got like 5 more things I have to do today, but I've got an hour. I'm just going to take a 30-minute nap, like set an alarm, but just turn my phone off, like lay down on the couch, close my eyes and like take a power nap and just really shut it down. For me, like I can relax, watching TV, or I can, relax going to a yoga class or walking or whatever, but I'm still going to find ways to kind of distract myself or let my mind wander. And for me, like I'm just a sleepy person, so naps are easy for me to take. So I just like, this is the time. I'm just going to turn it off for a second, reboot, relax, and then get up. Even if it's 30 minutes for me, like I'll feel better. I'll feel like recharged that I just like gave myself some actual rest. So honestly, yeah, I just sleep.
No, I love that. I think naps should be a required thing for everybody in adulthood.
I'm pretty sure they are in some cultures.
Right? Yeah.
No,
I've heard in other countries that they do a 30-minute nap at their desk, apparently. So, I mean, I would love that. Yeah. But going off of, I watch you every day. You always have, like, your fashion is on point, your hair is on point, your makeup's on point. Who is this someone that you follow, or how you go, you know what, I want to wear that today? Because I remember one day I walked into the gym and I looked up and you had these cute little space clothes. I'm like, oh my gosh, she was so cute. What are some inspirations for the fashion and hair stuff?
Honestly, like I just like to change my hair a lot. So I'm like, let's just try this and let's do this. And so I don't really do anything as far as that goes, but we have at the show and at the network an incredible professional staff of a wardrobe department and hair and makeup. So I cannot take responsibility for how I present on air. I get full hair and makeup every day, and they have an amazing wardrobe department that we shops with us, and we have final say over what we wear, but they bring in stuff and we'll do fittings and set the wardrobe up for the show. So I cannot take responsibility for that. Like, they are amazing professionals that have been doing this for a very long time. So, they go off of what my style is and what I'd like to look like, based off of my own personal style and authenticity. But yeah, they're the ones responsible for that. I can't take that.
Well, you look fabulous and you pull them all off, and I love that.
I'll let them know.
I love coming in going, oh, what's she gonna do today? Let's see. I have two fan questions. I have a French friend who's a big fan of you. He watches your show like religiously, and his name is Kelly. And he asked, where were you when you first had key lime pie?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember the first time I had it. I know Colin like weirdly remembers the first time he had it, but yeah, key lime pie is the best. I love it. Key lime pie is my favorite dessert, and then probably red velvet cake, and then probably butter cake. And then it just, it goes on from there. But yeah, I don't remember the first time I had it, but key lime pie is the best.
I've never had key lime pie now.
Yeah, do you like tarty? Like, it's like very tart. It's a very specific taste. So you either like it or you don't. Like, it's very, very tart. But I just like the combination of like the key lime and then the graham cracker crust and the whipped cream. It's a little orange zest. Yeah.
There you go. See, that's a perfect thing to have after a nap. I feel like that.
Key lime pie.
And the other question was, who would win in the 40-yard dash, Skip or Herd?
Skip or Colin?
Yeah.
I think Colin would agree that Skip would win because, well, I don't know. Colin's a big runner, actually. Now that I think about it, I forgot that Colin runs, because Skip runs every morning, 3 miles every morning, religiously. Colin's a runner too. I forgot that is what he does, because they both lift. They're all actually kind of similar. Shannon, Skip, and Colin all have like the same workout routine. They're like, well, Shannon's not a runner. Shannon will cycle, but they're all like big weight room guys. I don't know. That's a tough one because I completely forgot that Colin likes to run. I gotta think about that one. Skip would obviously say that Skip would win.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta think about that one.
Mm.
I gotta ask Colin. Because I don't know how fast Colin runs. I know like Skip. I know what Skip's workout routine is. I gotta ask Colin how fast he runs.
See, now you gotta give it to us. Now you gotta put it on your Instagram story to see who wins.
I'm gonna beat all of them. That's the truth. No.
That's even better. I love that. Woman power. No, I'm rooting for you. I think you got this 100%. All right, Joy. I appreciate you taking your time. I know you have to go do other stuff. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And everyone, catch Joy Taylor on her show, of course, on Saturdays, and The Herd as well. And we love seeing your beautiful face. And thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.